right, welcome back, the Bounty Hunters, and today, what are we doing, Canadian?
Like we did the last 3 weeks. another review of Ahsoka.
Trying to take over the world.
Yeah, episode 5, the Shadow Warrior.
The Shadow Warrior.
Weird name for the title. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something like World Between Worlds or.
Anyways, so yes, we were discussing this every Thursday at 7:30. Unless somebody's running late, we're not gonna mention who it was. We're gonna be here 7:30 only here on MrGarrell Twitch. If you missed any part of it, you can always catch up on YouTube, which I re-downloaded probably first thing in the morning. And that's what we do. Most of the time we do what do you call it?
Character spotlights on random Star Wars
deep dive. But when we have a good TV show or even a bad one, apparently, we review it.
Especially bad ones.
Especially bad ones. Those are the best kind of reviews. All right. So I'm going to say right now, the first part will be spoiler free. Then there's a unnecessarily long spoiler alert that pops up. You'll know it when you see it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on spoiler parts because I want to yell out stuff. I want to be the Tom Cruise jumping on the couch saying, I'm in love. And not necessarily for that, but for other reasons.
It's a hard thing not to talk about spoilers.
Yeah, it's hard. I would say.
I would say from my mind, it was nice seeing some different interactions between characters. It was also nice getting some more development for Ahsoka, like character development that almost kind of felt like we were missing in a way, but also just felt natural to what was happening in it.
We'll explain. I said that her character was bland, and I thought there was a reason for it. I think this shows you that what I thought is true. I'm always right. Well, you need your Star Wars information right here. That's where you go because I'm not wrong. I'm always right. I am the only one that's correct.
The opposite of I'm never disappointed. I'm never wrong.
So we'll just go ahead and jump into it. If last week, I don't remember what I gave. Let's say I gave 9.5. This is like 9.49. For me, just simply because I can't talk about why, because it would be all spoilers all the time. So we're just going to jump right into it. Here we go. And there is your warning. Okay, so the title actually says it. The first thing I want to say about this, and I said to keep your ass on target, stay on target, is they gave us Anakin back.
And yes,
and that right there will get you a 9.0. Even nothing else happened. Uncle Dave, it's time to put Anakin where he needs to be put. People have been ignoring him. He not only did he give us Anakin back, he made him a power thing, which we'll talk about in a second. But he gave a fine actor an ability to show that he's an actor.
Yes. A chance to properly showcase. With better writing, what you could do with that character,
maybe even dare I say a little better directing, because something was going on in those prequels.
So I loved it. I loved it seeing him. The entire episode, I just smiled and was like smiling and grinning the whole time. And then on top of that, at the end of the last episode, how we saw how he looked for that split second, the effect on the de-aging of his face looked a little weird. I felt this episode, it looked perfect. Perfect. The only time I saw an issue with it was when he went the Sith eyes. There was moments where it looked really kind of weird.
If you whoever did the episode 4s, if that was a different company, fire them. And then whoever did episode 5, they get the job from now on. Because I don't know why it looked a little bit off in the 4, and I didn't notice it at 5. And even when
nothing except for that.
All right, so let's just jump into it. So right off the bat, we open up with Hera trying to figure out what's going on. She lands with her son. They walk up. They found the cog, which I thought was a nice touch. It had all the gears and stuff in it, which I thought
that was pretty cool. Seeing it was like a mechanical awesome. Kind of thing.
So they're kind of looking around. Then we see Hu Yong over there. Look, I mean,
depressed.
You want to talk about a job, son? Like this guy did an amazing acting job. Give him the Academy.
No wonder he got an Emmy for his guest performance on Clone Wars. David Tennant put it in here. I was happy with that beginning. I loved the beginning. The Hu Yang was so depressing seeing him like that. I felt bad too, because in his mind they're both dead, right? He's like, oh, they're dead.
Yeah, and they don't listen. They never listen. I told him to stay together. And then when he said they never listen, you could feel that. That wasn't just them. It was all of them. Every little punk Jedi he's ever helped train, helped build a lightsaber, they never freaking listen. and it's like I'm losing them all now.
Mm-hmm. It was
turned around. He had those little droid eyes that he had slinted, like he was sad. I was like, well, how you make a droid make me feel that bad for a droid?
So good. I was gonna say, obviously, this is more like to the whole episode than just this beginning, but it surprised me how much we actually have seen of Jason. I was expecting going in the show we were gonna get like a quick cameo of Jason, not actually see him engaging in the story and being part of the progression, like helping them find Ahsoka, as we find later on. It's cool seeing that and like the development there, and obviously as we'll go, we'll talk more about it. Yeah, and then I love the moment where Hera's like, "Is it? Can I come out now?" And Hera's like thinking for a second, like she still kind of she sees Jason and almost still sees Kanan, so she's so nervous about losing.
And it is funny because that's totally a parent moment.
Yeah, like, very much.
She has the offspring of one side of her is a freedom fighter. Like her dad was a famous freedom fighter. So she has fighter on one side and a well-known Jedi on the other. And then she's like, you can come out, but hide behind a diabolical killer,
the war criminal
droid, the war criminal. Hide behind him so that way you don't get into trouble. It was just it was a cool mom moment. I did like it. I want to say before we also jump in, YouTube experts are hilarious. I know they need clips, and I know they need clicks. But the fact that every single one of their theories have been wrong for like 5
pretty
shows
funny,
now.
Honestly. I'm not gonna lie.
They keep making them, and like everything they would say about Anakin's going to end up being wrong, and everything they say about everything is wrong, and it's just funny. I know, listen, it's fun. I mean, part of the fun is just guessing what it is. But some of them are very confident they know. I read all the books, I've looked at all the literature, and I know what it is. It's like that was completely wrong. So then we kind of flip back over to the other world, the upside down world, and they're looking at each other. She's still going, "Oh, Anakin," walking towards each other.
You haven't aged at all. And he's like, "You're old." I was like, Christ, that's funny.
You look old. It was funny because he saw her when she was a kid, obviously, and then she's like 50 or something now, 40 something.
Yeah, she's older than he was when he died.
Yeah. So for him, it does look kind of crazy. A couple of things here, just to get this out. That's Anakin.
Yes.
I don't know what the Force is doing. That's not her conscience. That's not her hallucinating. That's Anakin.
That's Anakin. And there's something interesting about that. Because it is the world between worlds.
Mm-hmm. And
the thing is, the world between worlds like a manifestation of the Force in a way. And people brought up the idea that could be that is where the Force ghosts go. Like when the Jedi die and inhabit into the Force, in that area is how they can manifest like a body or a voice, or depending how they trained, right? So Anakin being there, obviously that's where his ghost resides and whatnot. But because it's your embodiment of the Force in you, no matter what you have, the light or dark, it all shines through, right? As we see later, he was a balance of both the dark and light. And
there could be a lot of reasons why that happened. One, if you have watched Clone Rebels, or Clone Wars or any of that stuff, she got close with the daughter. I know that people probably don't know what we're talking about, but the light god, dark god, the daughter, god, light god, and then the one in the dad who kept them in balance. She took on the owl it's deep, but just know that she's not just a normal
quick aside
situation there. There's other stuff.
A quick aside. One of the theories I remember before going into this was that the last episode was that it would be revealed that was the sun, and it would transform into the sun and all that stuff. And I was laughing. I'm like, that'd be really cool. But also, I'm like, if that happened, like they would literally have to be like, we're putting this show on pause. Like they're going to be like, we're going to have a hiatus for the show for another week or two, so y'all can watch Rebels and Clone Wars, because no one. They're already confused by the Rebels stuff. Seeing these characters, who is Sabine and who is Hera? Having this guy coming, it'd be the most confusing thing possible you could do.
I've watched those episodes twice probably, and I'm still kind of like, like I still kind of cock my head to the side when they get really deep into the lore of who these people are. The son of many theories. So he looks at her and says, "I'm here to finish your training." And they get into it. If you look behind
I loved the fighting.
Because somebody got this wrong too, in my opinion. This is my opinion now. Everybody has them. Mine's correct, though, as we already established. Not questionable. Behind her, you see all the different paths. There's thousands of paths behind her. They can go anywhere. By Anakin, there's not. It's like it's a closed path. It's like a dead end. And when they start fighting, they're fighting, and she's kind of pushing him back there. And as soon as he kind of gets her into that spot, I noticed, or gets where he was, that's when he breaks the ground and they fall down on the ground. So I think that was planned.
Yeah.
But so they have a little skirmish. It very much resembled the one they had in Rebels.
I loved it. It was perfect.
It was very good. It was a very good skirmish. She's obviously come a long way. You can see it in his eyes. He had a little bit of like, oh, and a little bit of like
smiles and everything.
Yeah, a little smile that she's doing the thing. And I think that what you can take away from this, if you've never watched Clone Wars and all you know is Anakin, the kind of annoying, kind of whiny kid and then a later adult from the movies, and maybe you don't get it, is this the some of us who have watched cartoons, which a friend of ours so funnily put a meme in there. Well, I don't understand because I don't watch cartoons. Is this, and you'll see this, I think, with some of the things that are coming up. Anakin is extremely likable.
Yes.
He's extremely nice. He's understanding. He's caring. He's intense. He's got so much power, he doesn't know what to do with it, but he's extremely likable. And I don't know if that ever really came across in the movies enough. And to me, that's the problem that I think Disney was having that Uncle Dave just solved in 30 minutes. Because you'll see how likable he is. You see later on they're joking. She actually, kind of gets on him for joking. And he's like, this is what we do. And that what makes the fall even more, because to me, I never understood why people don't like, how do you just okay the fall of Anakin? Because all you know him as a whiny brat. You don't even know that much about him unless you've watched all their cartoons and the comic books and everything else. Because is it really that big of a deal? Like, he was kind of a brat. He obviously wasn't following rules. But when you see all the other literature and all this stuff that I don't expect 99% of the world to be, is people got stuff to do in their life. They're not as nerdy as me, where they
do.
I'm doing this. Yeah, so they got other crap to do. They got to go to work and have families and stuff. But he's extremely likable, which is why the fall affects everyone. And we see in this, it affect up until now, probably to the day he dies. Kenobi blamed himself. Rex blamed himself. And now we find out that one of the main things he's trying to teach Ahsoka in this thing is stop blaming yourself for everything.
Yeah.
I caused this. This was me who caused this. You got to move on. And everybody around him blamed himself because that's how likable he is. And I love the fact that they gave the actor the ability to show that in live action for the first time and have us understand. I'm going to tell you right now, when I saw him in that damn Clone Wars armor, I almost let out a teenage scream like the Beatles.
I was so actually before you mentioned that, when they jog through the mist and they have it run out, and the first trooper comes running out, the Phase 1 trooper, which, crazy enough, is the first time we've ever seen a live action Phase 1 clone trooper, because there was no episode 2 was all CGI, and so far what we've seen have all been Phase 2. This is really cool seeing that for the first time as well. And then, as soon as the lightsaber goes up, he goes, "Come on, Snips," and he runs through that armor. I couldn't, not for that moment. I was just unbroken smile. I couldn't stop. I was like, they did it. And they gave him the nice hair. He looked fantastic. It was perfect.
We'll get into that. It got worse. That's why I said every time they went behind the scenes at the Grammys and changed dresses or changed clothes, I squat out another school. And that's why I kept saying, "Fuck you, Dave." Because he was obviously, it was like he was doing it to troll half the people that, as a good thing. But it was like, he was like, yeah, they're gonna laugh about this. Oh, they're gonna squeal about this. It's almost like he knew exactly.
It was so good. And then running through, and then Ahsoka gets up and everything's going crazy. And then you see her, so the young Ahsoka, and it's really funny. So I went to double check this. The Battle of Ryloth is what that is. That is. That's where they're at.
Yeah, you're not saying on target, though. I'm just going to point that out right now. You're way off target.
What do you mean?
Because we still got to go back to the planet and see what.
No. As soon as he breaks the bridge, they fall through, and it continues from there.
Yeah, but don't forget. Remember, they that's not what happened, because we find out the part that first off, they come down the ship as they're sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. Little man is at the edge, staring off into the ocean. Mom is a little behind him. And one thing it says, the senator, who's the senator that said that she can buy him a little bit more time?
We're not there right now. No, he broke the bridge. You know why I know this? I've watched this episode 10 times now.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
I've watched it 10 times because I loved it.
I'm gonna prove it to you, but what senator said I'll buy you some time?
Organa.
Yeah. So Leia said I'm gonna buy you some time. That was awesome because that just got thrown in. Yeah,
phenomenal like that bring up there too.
Okay, but what was over and he says, "Don't you hear that, Mom? The lightsabers crashing was that first fight they were having. That's the lightsaber crashing he heard."
Mm-hmm.
So this happened beforehand, and then before they went down into the pit.
Well, you continued off of the breaking the pit part.
But I was getting on you for staying on.
No, screw you. I'm on point. I'm excited, and it's gonna be a weird transition. What I'm saying here, the details are fantastic. I thought it was really funny that so the Battle of Ryloth is what that was. They all looked exactly as they should. Young Ahsoka looks amazing. I love seeing it. She looks great. Everything was perfect. She's in the wrong outfit for that, and for good reason too, as we all know.
Yes,
which is really funny because I was thinking about that. I'm like, I hope they don't show that outfit.
No,
and I hope not.
So before we do that, though, I will say when Jason says, "Do you hear that, Mom? Here's the lightsabers." That was another moment I had that I was like, I took a big deep breath in because that was the first time they acknowledged that he's got some of his dad in him, and he's like,
other than him mentioning last episode, like I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I do have an issue with that. That's the only reason I'm going back to that. And then the issue is this though, because he says, "Mom, do you hear that?" To me, having somebody to be able to hear the world between worlds needs to be a extremely Jedi / Force sensitive thing. And I don't know if I like Hera being able to hear that.
No, she doesn't hear it.
She did. She heard it. That's what she said. She heard it. That's why she believed him and went off and said, "There's somebody down there." She definitely heard it.
So the only thing I could say to why that shrine temple could be amplifying.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say maybe they can get away with it by saying that.
Hera is essentially going to be court-martialed, right? If she doesn't return the Coruscant with them. And which is interesting because we don't know Hera's fate. Truly, we don't know because she's not mentioned obviously in this First Order resistance. She's not in the resistance. She's not part of Leia's resistance. Which realistically, if she was still in the New Republic at the time, she would have transitioned with her into that.
Yeah, for sure.
So her not being around there says something interesting about what might happen with her character, given that.
Well, the fact that none of them are mentioned, I assume.
On top of that, but like, you can say she's a general of the New Republic. That's like, if anyone was to be mentioned of all these names, she would be the top priority.
And so I would assume that I thought they were going to send all of them to the other thing, and they all get stuck over there for a while, and that's how you kind of explain why nobody talks about that. Yeah. But now they're not all going at the same time, so it is kind of confusing because now what do you plan on doing with that situation?
We have a point of view outside that other galaxy, right? So, anyways, back to
it was the Storm of Ryloth. I actually looked it up, and I actually looked at some clips. They did a great job with that. That's exactly what that story was about. In that story, she talks about how she made bad mistakes and the clones died. That is what that story is about. That she disobeyed an order, trying to get it done herself, and people died. And I just want to say that was also our favorite clone commander / captain.
So I was gonna say when it cut and then you see like it's like, oh, she's there with the clones. Very also a great moment. Her just like this just sadness seeping over her sitting there with the super wounded clones. When it cut to Anakin and he's staying there and Rex is there and everyone was like, Rex is gonna show up, and I'm like, yeah, I had this sense too. Phase 1 Rex caught me off guard completely. I was like, whoa. And then I was like, and then he's talking. He's like, 1 second. He leaves and he's constantly in the background just watching. And then they're talking for a second. He's like, come with me. I'm like, yes, get closer to Rex. 5 more feet. 5 more feet. Go talk to him. He'll have some inspiring words for you. I'm like, you motherfucker. But then, yeah.
And so that was a great thing. That was a great moment to see. Also, another important part about that is that's Hera's. I mean, that's nothing to do with Hera necessarily, but that's also Hera's whole thing is that that battle, her family.
Her father was one of the
why she went on the
people.
run and became who she was. This was because of that whole planet's history, what's going on there. And then they kind of went into another one, and it was the Siege of Mandalore. And I thought a really funny moment. I just will say it again. I know we already talked about it, but young Anakin with short hair and his clone armor thing looked freaking amazing. Hello.
Watching that made me a little angry. So I had this whole episode, I had 2 nitpicks. That was it. And then one moment of anger. The moment of anger was seeing Hayden as Anakin in the Clone Wars armor looked fantastic. It made me so happy. It was anything I can imagine. And it made me so angry because I'm sitting there going, I wish we saw Kenobi in the armor in his show or in this.
Let me tell you something. If they had randomly put Kenobi just even walking by in the shadow, you would have heard me scream from Canada.
I would have loved it if they're in a lat, they're flying in the gunship together, all 3 of them or whatever for a moment. But that was my big one. My other nitpick, which is a weird one to me, so the Ahsoka actress, great job. She was also the one who played young Gamora in Avengers, which is like that's her thing.
Great that one too, by the way. She's great at this whole Disney Marvel thing.
So my nitpick was she looked great. And that was early, like that was first season. Like,
she wasn't wearing the midriff thing. That's your nitpick. That's creepy, bro.
It is 100%. No, is that when she's in the Siege of Mandalore, she doesn't look that different age wise. When realistically, she's aged quite a lot between then.
Yeah, she did.
She just looks like she just looks a little taller. That's the only thing.
They made her a little taller, and I thought they gave her like a more confident walk. You know what I mean? Like they gave her like her kind of like charisma, I guess, was a little bit more confident. I think that's how they try to do the age thing.
Yeah, because the thing is, she looks like realistically, there's a lot of time in between there, or like.
And we just gonna ignore the fact that we saw mall troopers, like we saw.
So that was cool. I saw that. And I was like, here we go. And then it looks terrific. And then you hear Tamora Morrison. Good work, Commander. And he turns and you see
went to the credits afterwards to make sure his name was there. And sure enough, his name was right there. Because I thought I didn't want him to do him dirty, man. They better not do him dirty and get like a AI voice. I
was nervous because I was like, when the first phase, when you saw the ones with the helmets off, they were wrapped. I'm like, don't you dare do this.
The hand on there, and he put his hand on her, and I was like, why is his face wrapped? You're gonna do my man dirty. Don't do him dirty like that.
No, he got it in from the Polynesian spa. He recorded that line.
The key was they wanted him in there. They just didn't want to pay for his CGI de-aging. So they're like, okay, we're going to wrap your face, but we are going to use you in your voice. We just can't show your face.
I laugh because I wonder if I don't think we're going to see the modern Rex like in this modern timeline, but it was nice. I loved it. It looked fantastic too.
And I thought it was funny because Anakin said, I don't remember this battle. And she said, oh, it's because you weren't here, Master. And at that exact moment, he was about cutting Count Dooku's head off. I think is about that timeline. I think it's about the same moment.
No, that moment was when he what's his name, Kenobi went engage Grievous, because when she went over to the thing to talk.
Oh no, maybe he might have been on the verge of, because it wasn't too far after that Order 66 happened, right?
Well, no, so she does the siege after getting Maul. She talks to the council, and they're like, well, Obi-Wan's engaging Grievous at the moment. And then when they're transporting Maul back is when the Order 66 kicks in. So
I wonder how many days there was a Siege of Mandalore. I still might be right because I'm not wrong. So I can't be.
Yeah, she probably. I mean, there was probably the Chancellor was probably just rescued after while the siege was happening.
But anyway, I love that part. I thought it was
terrific.
It was awesome. And then
before that, I love the moment where they're saying that he's talking and like the legacy, and the explosions are happening in the background. He's just talking about how you learn from me. All of me is in you, as is Obi-Wan and me and his master, all the way back essentially to Yoda, right? Yeah. Yoda, Dooku, Qui-Gon, right? And then Ahsoka shifts and says that, and Anakin's just like confused, and he says like, well, you're more than that because I'm more than that. And she's like, well, you're more powerful than we imagined and dangerous. And he's just like, the anger on his face is like, is that what this is about, huh? Why are you talking about my crimes? Don't talk about me killing all the younglings here. I got over that. I repented. And I made
because she was saying like I was only born for war, basically. And
she's
he
a
was
child soldier, essentially,
right? We're a product of what we are. You know what I mean? Like Kenobi was trained in a time of not war.
Yes,
I was trained
which I love that line.
Of war. You were trained in a time of war.
When I was trained, we were peacekeepers. When you were trained, you were a soldier. So I love that. I love that line. That's a fantastic line.
And then she said, "Well, what if I don't want to fight anymore?" I said, "Then you die." And he took off walking. And what was happening while he was walking away? There were flashes of explosions.
Yeah, not even mentioning but yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't mention that part. Yeah, those shots. Yeah, again, in terms of cinematography, those shots of him, like the lightning flash, it changes the Vader for moments. Oh, so good. I was trying to find that image for the a high quality version of the image for the slides, but I couldn't. But man, that was beautiful.
And so then they're but this whole time it's going on, we can jump back and forth, but basically they're just
stalling for time.
Yeah, stalling for time, going around, looking really low in the water, trying to figure out where they are. Then they just keep going back and forth. So there's not a lot being missed on the Hera side.
Yeah, it's just making sure everything's good, and
So yeah, he told her she's part of the legacy. They go back to the. He said, she said something. He's like, well, then we just got to start over from the beginning. He takes her back to the sidewalk of glowy stars, and let's start this all over again.
Pulls the red lightsaber out this time. The Sith eyes kick in, and the power between each of those swings. And it also what was fun was so Hayden did a really interesting job this episode because he jumped between like 3 versions of himself. So he obviously is Anakin, and then he said he went and before Kenobi, he went and watched all of Clone Wars again. And was really studying how Matt Lanter played the character, so which obviously informed how he was playing the Clone Wars Anakin, like how his inflections were, the humor and whatnot. And then when he switched to the Darth Vader mindset, like the great moment where he's like, she's like, "I'm not going to fight you." I was like, "Oh, live or die," and she's like, "I won't fight you," and he goes, "Incorrect," as a Vader was saying, Vader's one-line lines and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to say so now that we're kind of in the middle of this, I was going to say that there's 2 pieces of evidence to me that this is Anakin. One is the fact that the people outside of the world between worlds can hear them. So it's not a hallucination as she's dying underwater or something. And then 2, when she says, "I won't fight you," and he said, I've heard that before. So I was confused for a second. So I actually went back and I said the rebels.
Yeah, when she said, "I won't fight you" during the Vader fight, he just turns it on. I went back
and looked at the fight. She never says that in that fight. She says, I will have to avenge him. That's not the Jedi way. I'm no Jedi. But she never says, "I won't fight you." So the only time that's ever been said that I can find out is when Luke said it to him. So this is an Anakin that has memories of all his life. And that's when it was said was his son. So that to me is the second piece of evidence that this is Anakin, who has all the memories of being Anakin, and he's here almost like stubborn, hard-headed daughter, basically, of mine. You're not getting it. Like, I had to go through all this. Well, you just figure it out. She refuses, so he says, fine, then we got to do this a different way. He gets all red, glowy eyes, pulls out the lightsaber. What I liked about it was he said not only is he changing his acting, but they also change his fighting style, because this is more Vader.
Yes, he becomes more heavy, less flashy with the speed of movement and overhead. It's just very hard direct. Yeah,
and it kind of makes me wish we had a little bit more of that Darth Vader instead of the machine Darth Vader, because I think it would be pretty ridiculous. She's not in for it, so he's getting her pretty good, and then she's like, basically, "I'm not fighting you," drops the blades, but then disarms him or whatever, and he tells her live and die.
He disarms her, and then she decides to. Hilarious. Always loves me that crazy with the move, but just as soon as she drop your lightsabers, just duck under him, grab the hands. It's always.
But so yeah, he tells her she has to live or die. She got that moment. She took the lightsaber away from him, puts it super close to his face, and she makes the decision that he didn't make. He makes the decision that I guess his son made, and she says, "I choose to live." and she drops the lightsaber, so she knows as I'm not fighting you anymore. This is how it is. He smiles an amazing glowing smile that like there you go. There's another acting chop right
Lights
there.
up the room, yeah.
He says, "There's hope for you yet." And
closes his
then,
eyes, goes back to regular, yeah.
Yep. And then she's sitting there, and they have this great transition of the water rising and coming up, and they kind of meet each other. Then you find out that she is underwater, but I guess the force was keeping her alive under the water, I guess, or whatever happened. Yeah, it was awesome. The only other issue that I'm having right now is what is it called? Like psychometry, something where you can, it's what Quinlan Voss had, where you can pick up an item from somebody and be able to.
Oh, the Force.
She's done it a few times now.
Force, oh god, Cal Kestis did it in the games. That's his main, but that's his hit. Because they mentioned it's a very special ability that only it's an inherent ability that certain Jedi have, it's not a trained ability, it's an inherent ability.
And so that's the only thing that I have is like, because it seems like it's not something they're celebrating that she can do that's rare. It's more like how
it's
can
an
we tell
ability
the
that's
story?
around.
Yeah, how can we tell the story? So we have a writing, block that we need to push through. So how can we do this? Oh, let's have her pick up the, thing and tell us what really happened. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, no, what I did enjoy was that she didn't actually tell Hera what happened. She just said they took her with them. Not she willingly went with them and gave it all away. She didn't, and she's holding back that like feeling.
Now there was an interview back in the day.
Before you bring that, because we skipped the part that I thought was really funny, I loved it, was when she I just heard two things. You skipped ahead a bit. She got brought on the X-Wings, and then it was her waking up in the ship, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And you see her without the head band.
I just skipped ahead. No.
What do you mean?
I just talked about her going up and she's underwater. That's it.
And then you jumped ahead to the star map, and then
I didn't say what happened though. I just said she has that ability. I didn't say.
Oh yeah.
That's your technicality right there. Yeah, the United States Coast Guarded her ass. They jumped in the water.
Oh, that looked pretty cool. That looked a great effect. Oh, the helmet's that's a really good idea. If it was recording.
Yeah, that's actually a better. Voodoo, let's contact Uncle Dave and see if we can get you on the staff. That's a better thing because
that's actually really smart because they focus on the helmet.
He's very famous for this. I'm not breaking any news here, but I did remember an interview where his favorite thing in the world is the story of Gandalf, Uncle Dave.
Yes, so
this is the most Gandalf of Gandalf stories I've ever seen in my life. To the point where he needs to pay some money to the families of that famous writer because she falls down on a high cliff. The only thing she doesn't do is turn around and say, "Run, you fools," or whatever. And she falls down. She goes down as gray. She has her gray stuff. She's all monotone. She's seen a lot. She's blaming herself. When people said that the actor wasn't doing a good job or they weren't writing her well, that all could be true. But I think this shows you what was going on.
Purpose of it, yeah.
She blamed herself basically for her Padawan and the Mandalorians dying because her Padawan was upset about that. She blamed herself for Anakin. She blamed herself for every clone that's ever died. She blamed herself for the Jedi probably going down because of Anakin. She blamed herself for anything. So she was gray. She was like probably depressed, PTSD, the whole 9.5 she was going through. When she comes back from this Anakin mind trip, she comes back and what do they dress her in? All white, just like Gandalf the White. Like this sucker. Wow, like you told the whole story, sir. She sees that staff from the Rebels.
The funny thing is that outfit is the same one as she has at the end of Rebels. Yeah. When you look at it, because it has the same clipping just at the top here and the belt.
Yes, he's very famous for liking Gandalf. So yes, other people pick that up.
Well, what's funny was he had mentioned that, and like we talked about in the premiere when we talked like, oh, it's interesting that the very beginning of the. We talked about it. That we did talk about it. The very beginning of it, they recreated that ending like frame by frame, except the fact that Ahsoka was wearing her gray, not in the white robes and staff. We said, I guess it's weird because how he would transition that, and then we said that we knew that that Filoni based that kind of thing off of Gandalf the White in that moment, her transitioning. So he said maybe she's still in that gray phase, and obviously, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, so she wakes up and has the headband off. Was interesting seeing that. seeing the
It
connection
wasn't
there.
just seeing that. Not only that, but now I realize that her skin tone, if you want to recreate it at home, it's whatever the leather, the couch, the beds are, and those Jedi thing, because that was almost the exact same color. That was really weird. Like I was
I also laugh because you see that's a really cool shot, and then they put it back on after like just have her bald with that on, just the whole headpiece on top there to cover the seam, right?
So yeah, she goes out there and she grabs the ball and she kind of works out what happened through psychometry or whatever it's called.
My favorite line before that. Jason runs up, well, how you doing? Like, oh, and she's like, good to see you. He's like, oh, I heard you fighting. Who'd you fight with? And she's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to bring that up. And then she's like, oh, do you want to look at the ship? I was like, oh, I've seen a starship. And it's a Jedi one. And Hu Yang's like, let me show you the training room. She's like, you got a training room? Yes. Like, well, can I go? A train? No. Oh, you build light? You know how to build lights here? Yes. You build mine? No. I'm just like so perfect.
Well, he's been doing this for a long time, but yeah, I don't know if his mom was trying to keep him grounded. I don't know if the best thing to do is get him all super excited about.
Well, she wanted to get him out of that scenario.
The Jedi lightsaber builder and going in there and look at their training room, and he's been asking to be trained this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she works out what happened, and they don't know what to do. She looks up and sees something. I did see somebody mention this on like Instagram, I think it was. They were upset that they called them whales. I didn't catch that, but apparently they did, because they said it kind of took them out of it, because that's the Earth world word for it, and they're called, I forgot what they're called. Purgle. And they called them whales, apparently. I didn't hear that, but I mean, they said they did, because somebody else said that, yeah, that bothered me too. So I don't know. Son, we got Anakin live action Clone Wars armor. You can put that fucking whale shit to bed, son, please. like we're not gonna be nitpicking on some whales, but no, yeah, I get it. Like something I would have said. Yeah, yep. So she saw it too. So yeah, that's interesting. So I guess they call them whales, but yeah, at the same time, yeah, it doesn't bother me, because at the same time they also say stuff like water, and they say other things that we use.
Hell.
Yeah. They say a lot of stuff that's our words. So I mean, what do you
again? Well, hey, here's a good one. Why are the Salacious Crumb lizard monkeys? That's their name of their species, lizard monkey. So evidence of a monkey being around a lizard.
If as a group, as a culture, the Star Wars nerds, if we're all saying that to watch any more movies, we have to actually learn the dialects of the Star Wars universe, and from now on they will be only spoken that universe, then we can do that. Like that's fine by me, you know. Yeah. I've always said one day
I choose Jawaese as my language preferred viewing experience. Seeing Ahsoka yell Houdini when she screams.
So yeah, she looks up and she's like, you know what? Them space whales. Let me holler at them for a minute. Let me go do one of these wing walks here, because I love doing them things.
Let me do it. Let me pull an Ezra here and talk to them. So gorgeous. When she comes out in that outfit again, gorgeous. I love how it looks. It's so nice. I can't wait to see what which takes the cloak off eventually, what it looks like underneath fully.
Yeah. But like, I didn't really get the impression necessarily that she's full on having conversations like Ezra, because they were making it seem like that was crazy.
Oh, well, she mentions that she doesn't really.
Yeah.
So.
And Ezra would have full on conversations with them. So like, I'm glad that they didn't give her just every power that's supposed to be special. And what I liked about it, and the part that I think they did a great job, like I said, Uncle Dave, you're never going to watch this, but you know, we're homeboys. You directed it, produced it, wrote it, did the whole 9.5. And what to me, it explained the whole process. Okay. Because this has already been shot. So he didn't do it because people complained. We'll go into it. But from this point forward, once she woke up to the end, she was smiling. She was making jokes. She was doing all this stuff. She's back to having her personality again. She's different. She's not the same.
I was so happy with that.
Gray. And so she apparently tries to talk to the whale, gets enough. Yeah. Come on in here. We're gonna do Jonah the Whale stuff.
Also, those teeth. Ooh.
Those teeth were amazing. Like that was so awesome. That's some whale teeth. That's what the whale teeth look like.
Yeah, I know, creepy. And then
and at one part I did love about it. So they go inside. Obviously, they're gonna ride inside the whale as it takes off. But the one part I did like, oh my God, we didn't say our favorite X-Wing guy. He's got.
Oh, that was hilarious. I was going to bring that up. That was hilarious. She's like, oh, he's trying to stall and everything. And then she's like, all right, you're going to disobey my order. You're going to be court all this stuff. And he's like, okay, fine. So they're going to get some space whales. They're going to go on they're going to hyper. Like, and they're like,
Home One. I think it was Home One, right? Home One showed up.
Not Home One. It was a different ship.
So a bunch of two ships, I guess, show up. Capital ships, they show up over there. The head of the thing, and he goes over there and was like, "Yeah, basically, who is this?" And she's like, "What are you doing? You know who the hell this is? Why are you saying you don't know?"
Like, I don't know authorization. I don't know.
Sorry, this is classified area. Sir, what are you talking about? That's classified. Tell me what you're doing here. I'm afraid I can't do that until I get authorization that she's done with her mission. He tried, and then
she's like, "This is an unauthorized mission to begin with. So what are you doing?" He's like, well, yeah.
He tried. Then she finally said, "Look, you're about to get stripped of everything, arrested, court-martialed. You'll never do anything again." He's like, "All right, I'm going to tell you the story, but there ain't no way you're about to believe me. I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't believing me." And he's halfway through the story when Big Mama comes up there, and you don't even know how big that thing is. Do you see it next to the ship? That thing.
Well, what's funny is she's like pulling up. It's just like immediately evasive maneuvers. Immediately, they're like, "We are terrified of these."
And when they went by the X-Wing hangar, that looked like a little bitty toy model. Like it was so tiny when they went by the side of it. Like his eyeball was
a Hot Wheel compared to a full car.
Yeah, so they go in there and the droid's with her and he's kind of freaking out. Like, what the hell are we doing? Where are we going? She's like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like, oh, did they tell you where we're going? No. Well,
we can go anywhere. And she was like, yeah, we can. And she's like smiling, puts her hands back. And I was like, yeah, there you go. There it is. She's back, got her personality back. She's happy. She's smiling, and she's about to go inside the mouth of a space whale, and who knows where she's going to land.
I love the shot from inside, seeing them go into hyperspace from inside the mouth. That was really cool, seeing how that view looks compared to.
And I also like that they hid it from us, so we don't know what it looks like for the whales. I kind of like that.
Yes, it was for them. Like we just saw it close. The gaps through it, but yeah. I like that the eye shine of the way of a Purgle like they do in Rebels too, right?
And the other thing that I was like, wow, that was cute, Dave, is Jason when he says, "Oh, are those the whales you told me about that sent off Ezra and the bad guys far, far away?" Like
galaxy far, far away.
Far, far away, did you? You little bastard.
That's probably would that be the first time it's ever been said in Star Wars? I
don't know, but I thought it was cute that they put that in there, and that's it. I have nothing to say.
I was surprised that it didn't cut to Sabine and them, which I think in the end, after the episode was finished, it was probably for the best that they just completely ignored them and then leave them for this next episode.
Dude, are you not surprised that this isn't the last episode?
It's a gorgeous. Like this would have been it would have been a gorgeous way to make this like a halfway mark of the season, like hiatus kind of. When they release some shows and they release half the show and then like months later they come back for the second half. That feels like one of those
this could have been the last of this episode, and we would have been mad because we're not getting answers done. But we don't really get to have answers because we don't know what happened to any of these characters. Yeah. And you could have left it like that, and I think it would have been an awesome ending. Like I would have, like I said, frustrated because what the hell happened to everyone? But like,
another interesting thing we talked about, I talked about last week, that they made this a theatrical release. I remember that. So I wonder what that means for like the finale of the show. If this is what they did with this one, right? Yeah. But it makes me really, again, week to week, I'm excited to see the next episode. It makes me, I'm excited to see what happens next, where the characters are going to, all the characters, from all the smallest plot points with the Chopper and Jason to Hera and the New Republic to Ahsoka and Hu Yang to Sabine.
And he's excited to see a war criminal. And you think you know somebody, and then he's like, I want to see the war criminal.
I want to see him burn someone else.
Can you say that about any Disney series at all? That you're excited to see it?
The only thing, again, with Andor, it was almost a different. Wow, this was a great show. And the thing was, it was exciting that when the finale came around, I was really excited. Or when the episode with the prison break finally happening was really exciting. But like this specifically, like knowing that next week is the 6th, so there's 3 more weeks left.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It makes me go, wow, I want this now. I want this next episode now. I can't wait.
Like, Andor is amazing. And if Ahsoka keeps like this, it's going to get put in the second place probably just because of this is Star Wars. But it was different to me. Andor was like a really cool TV show, like a really cool detective show, crime show, whatever, that I was excited to see. But this is different. This is my Star Wars.
You have the traditional, and you have the
and this is like, I'm excited to see a Star Wars show. And like I said, this might be the best. Well, I mean, it's not saying much. It's the best Disney series. I mean, we're not.
Hey, Skeleton Crew will knock it out of the park. Don't worry.
We're not doing anything big here. We're not making big announcements here that it was the best one. But yeah, I'm surprised how much they do. Part of me, my heart sinks a little bit, honestly, because you know how I feel about Rebels and all the characters, and having this many episodes left, it concerns me that they're actually going to tell us what happened to them, and it's not going to be good. Because
I'm still in the interesting idea of, like, in my mind, I'm still kind of thinking what's going to happen when they get there, because there is something that was okay. There was a leak involving a toy. I won't bring it up here, which could spoil some heavy shit, but I won't bring that up because that's just leaks and all. I don't want to bring that stuff up here. But what makes me interesting of thinking about is what happens when they get there, because obviously Thrawn is alive. We see him in the trailer. We know he's there. But what's going on with Ezra? Because I'm like, I have a kind of like, what would be a crazy twist is that like Ezra, they've been trying, we gotta find Ezra. You know, Thrawn's around all this, but if they get there and Ezra's already dead, would be such an interesting twist to me. Like Ezra is dead. He's not alive. And they get there and it's that moment.
No matter what, and I'm assuming Ahsoka knows this, no matter what, when you're getting there, it isn't going to be good. Because
it's going to be.
I mean, she doesn't know this necessarily, but as viewers, we know this. Alyssa Crazy Witch Lady is crazy, and she's nuts, and she's seeing like symbols, but she's making it sound like she, at least somewhat, in some kind of way, communicates with Thrawn. So that means wherever Thrawn is, he's there. Now we know from screenshots, everything else, he's there. Like we know that he's going to be there.
We know he's there.
And as nice as he is, I don't see how those two can be in the same spot coexisting perfectly like that
for
something
years.
Right to me.
For how long? What, like that must be what, 5-10 years almost. 10 years, 15.
So now you have the opportunity for dead or flipped.
And I don't think I don't think flip, but I feel dead.
Something has to be the reason why he hasn't offed him. So like something has to be that way. Then you have two, so you could be fighting 3 Jedi.
Or the other way, Ezra offing 3. You would think Ezra would have killed Thrawn, right? Because that was the idea.
But if it isn't, and if something is different, makes Ezra like that, you'd be fighting 3 Jedi people, basically, right? With the 2 that are going, Ezra's already there. You're fighting Thrawn, who ain't no lightweight. And you're showing up there, and you might even have your Padawan, who might not want you to get involved because she's there to get her friend. So you could be getting into some shit when you land wherever you're going to go. Like it's probably not going to be tremendous. So I'm excited, but like Voodoo Lily said here, I am preparing for. There is no mention of them in the great future works that Disney has done. So why isn't there? And it's something I said when the Rebels first happened, and I said Ezra is so freaking powerful. At parts of the Clone War, or parts of Rebels, he was way overpowered at some parts. And the fact that no one talks about him, everybody knows about him. Vader knows about him, and nobody mentions him. Ahsoka's running around not mentioning him. How can this possibly be? And now we're here again. If he comes back riding the back of a effing whale, somebody had to talk about him. So like that's what I'm saying. So to me, it's something ain't right. Like you got to prepare yourself for what might be happening at the end of this.
And again, it would be one of those things of like, you look at how Ahsoka's journey went in the War Between Worlds, having to accept that like these things aren't her fault, that the past is the past, and like to move on from these things and like get closure. Sabine is still trying to find her closure because she still, again, feels like she's living in Ezra's old place. She has his lightsaber. She's training to become a Jedi almost in a way like to honor Ezra.
Yeah.
So, and her whole thing, and she's trying to get Ezra. If she gets there and he's already dead or something like that happens, her having to accept the fact that he died and that like technically all that stuff, would be development for her that Ahsoka would be obviously trying to help her.
And one last prepare yourself. Uncle Dave has no problem spending years writing characters, making them awesome, likable, lovable, putting his heart and soul into each individual clone trooper, and then in 1 or 2 episodes killing everybody. So he has no problem doing the deed if he needs to.
One other speculation I want to bring up because next week. So the thing with Baylan and Shin, having to figure out what's going to happen to them. Something interesting people brought up is we never got that Mara Jade character in canon yet for like Luke's wife, basically. But more or less, the more other part that's interesting is that Emperor's hand. What? Not that's not what I'm bringing up. I'm bringing like the Emperor's hand aspects. Like Thrawn had Dark Jedi with them and whatnot, and there being that assassin idea of Baylan dying at the end, and then Shin not really having a place be will just be on Thrawn's side as his hand, basically working as his Dark Jedi right hand. Because her whole so far we've seen of her, whatever her master asks or does, she obliges, no problem. And she doesn't seem to have any other goals other than helping her master reach.
All right, one more question before we go into. I guess we have slides. Do we have slides?
We do. Yes. And
one more question: do we get short hair military Thrawn, or do we get long hair wild Thrawn from the comic books?
Ooh.
Because he's been somewhere for years now.
I think short hair. She probably contacted him and he's like, oh, time to get presentable.
Give myself up a bit. Well, in this now, so I would just say that is our review of episode 5. We both thought it was awesome. Thanks for watching. You can always watch us on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on what you like better.